Are we alone, or are we all one? Adam and Eve ate from the apple, as the popular translation of the allegory states. But what does an apple have to do with the toroidal field? We have talked about the toroidal torment that a finite number of game players of living souls have funneled into to experience a temporary projection as a purgatorial process. An apple, especially when cut open, looks very much like a toroidal field. Eating of this apple signifies not only did we emerge into a toroidal net projection, but also signifies pulling up an app. An application, or app in modern terms, means a program or piece of software designed and written to fulfill a particular purpose of the user. We pull up apps on our smartphones and computers, for instance. This connection is clear as a matrix wordplay revealing the toroidal structure, these outer lands we've been inhabiting away from the 0 point, is but a program, an application designed and written in order to fulfill the particular purpose, the very purpose we've described in many videos, which is to cancel out the positive and negative polarities in order to flesh out all possibilities like a quantum computer, resulting in the toroidal net's dissolution along with every manifestation of this dualistic construct we know as the energy extraction matrix. Spirit locked itself into matter, solidifying a dense world which operates under the laws of restrictive sine wave operation. The sine wave ebbs and flows. So were we born into sin or born into sine? It's all clear. The sine wave has peaks and valleys, highs and lows. Being born into the toroidal structure after the fall of man, this is birth and death, good and evil. In this construct, what goes up must come down. Of course, a serpent, like the one who tempted Adam and Eve, has a sine wave-like form. Going back to this idea of an application, on our devices, when something needs to be rendered or loaded within an app, we oftentimes get this screen. This is the quintessential loading symbol. The loading symbol is always going round and round. Did we eat from the apple or funnel ourselves into an app, a program designed to fulfill a specific purpose? The living souls have rendered themselves able to return back to the center through this purpose. And the only way to do this has been to spin round and round in the ebb and flow within time, and thus within birth and death. When we plug in a mathematical algorithm, visualized as the sine wave, this is what we get: a spinning wheel generating the ebb and flow, produced by an inner cube. Cubes. This is correlated to the idea of cubed consciousness, being in Metatron's cube, as we've discussed. And just like the movement of the sun and stars and moon over the flat earth plane, the repetitiveness of the cycles within ebb and flow has created a safe container to disconnect from the tension which dualism produces. In the 2007 movie Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium, the truth about this cubed consciousness and this matrix is revealed. Mr. Magorium is the owner of a one-of-a-kind magical toy store, a place where children spend their days at ease, exploring the wonders of these toys. The main employee's name is Mali. This name is significant. In Jewish gematria, Mali and matrix both have the same value, that of 520. And of course, as we've reviewed, this word matrix signifies the connection between a womb and a motherly force using her emanations of matter to protect and instill wisdom. Mr. Magorium gives Mali the Congreve cube, a block of wood, and tells her it will guide her to a new life if she has faith in it.
What is it?
It's the Congreve Cube. Unlikely adventures require unlikely tools.
Are we going on an adventure?
Oh, my dear, we're already on one.
It's interesting to note, after receiving the cube, the floor changes to a checkerboard, just like Alice falling onto the checkerboard in Wonderland. This signifies diving into a magnetic field of positive-negative charge, of good versus evil. Mr. Magorium announces that he intends to leave and is giving the shop to Molly. However, during this time, the store begins to get sad, developing gray and black patches on its walls. And pretty soon, the store, which was once full of unrestricted magic, has now gone awry. Molly feels overwhelmed by this situation, having been given the store by Mr. Magorium. Nothing she does seems to work. But when Molly confesses her complete faith in the store, the cube flies around the store, and eventually this cube restores the magic and thus the toy store. This movie is allegorizing the mother goddess, Sophia, who is the caretaker of the construct we've been in. Because we are emanations of Sophia, of this divine feminine force which has cultivated the emerald dream of the center, her expressions have trickled down and become our story. A dark and ominous change begins to take over the once remarkable toy store, but this is the result of an imbalance within Molly, within the Matrix, the mother goddess. What we've observed and felt in this toroidal app is exactly this: a seemingly evil force, a darkness which reigns and has manifested as an energy extraction system, one with a ruling class and binary consciousness. Hence, the living souls have felt trapped due to the magic that was once abundant before the sine wave. Mr. Magorium represents the monad, the source of the magic, the monad being source, or the ultimate pool of creation. In the Gnostic tale, of course, Sophia releases a part of herself away from the monad in order to replicate that creation. In doing so, she accidentally creates the demiurge, which is really just her shadow, manifested as a hyperphysical and limited construct. Mr. Magorium gave Molly the toy store after choosing to depart and consciously die. This is detailing the splitting away from the monad, and Sophia now having to carry creation without that ultimate connection. This matrix, which was intended to be magical and infinite in its creative and whimsical nature, will return back to its original state before the fall of man. The fall, or falling asleep, was set up so the game players would awaken. Using these terms, falling asleep, awaken, is it any wonder that the idea of having original forms in dream time at the 0 point might be the literal truth? So we're living out a very unique existence, one that is destined to be completed. The app is running its course, and perhaps just like the magic regained in Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium, we had to emit time in order to cancel it out. Time, of course, backwards is emit, and both terms in gematria equal 144, just like magnetic, just like light. So time, light, and the magnetic field are all emanations from the 144,000 at the 0 point. By definition, this construct is temporary. If something has a beginning, it requires an end in Eden. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into light, free is he made of the halls of Amenti. In Disney's Sophia the First, there is a final battle between Sophia and the evil queen Vor, who is the physical embodiment of evil. We clearly observe them in the Emerald Dream, surrounded by what looks like the Aurora Borealis, and Sophia, with all of her might, activates her 0 point, her sacred heart energy, and this is what dissolves the darkness. Within the Emerald Dream, and of course there's a checkerboard layout throughout, and a grid. So, with everything we know about the Aurora Borealis, the North Pole, and the magnetic field, could this get any more clear?